everyone. Thanks, Kalia. Good morning. I'm happy to talk about fall decor. Dan's here with me. I have a ton of ideas, and it was really hard to figure out what direction to go in. So I'm just gonna share all my ideas and then see what you want to see me demo. So first of all, this is my favorite season. I love it so much because I love when the weather gets cooler. This is also the best time to plant in the garden. And so I get really excited sort of thinking about my garden and what I'm going to use, what I'm going to add, what I'm going to transplant and stuff like that. So that's really exciting. In terms of fall decor, I really like it because there's kind of this harvest vibe happening. And so what I would say, what I'd really encourage you to do to decorate is to just go out in your garden and see what's happening right now and what you can take clippings of that you can add to a table arrangement or a container or whatnot. I just went out in our back 40 here and I found some dried hydrangeas, which are really fun. I cut some rose hips, which can also be really pretty. Of course, the grasses. This is a really cool native clematis, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. And then these are seed pods for something called Nigella. And so just this in itself could be a bouquet, just like that, and it's kind of cool that you can just go out and pick that in your garden. Things that are blooming right now are, of course, mums. This is Angelonia. We have yarrow, rudbeckia, sages. What I also encourage you to consider with your fall decorations is incorporating edibles, because we have this sort of harvest feel to whatever you're doing for your fall arrangements. And so I love incorporating things like kale, cabbage. This is cabbage here, parsley. I have around here thyme, sage. Has a really nice leaf to it. So definitely, think outside the box. Try to think of fun combinations of everything, and do some experimentation. Let's see. We can also incorporate tillandsias. So tillandsias are air plants, and succulents too. So tillandsias and succulents have a very similar water and light requirement. So that's also fun to add. I did this succulent pumpkin as a demonstration to show you. So this is also pumpkins, of course, we can add to anything that we're doing. They're fine on their own. I also put some in a little glass vase. I mean, you could just put pumpkins in a glass vase, and that's a really simple look. I've done the succulent pumpkins before. I think there's a recording of it somewhere. But what's nice is you can do a succulent pumpkin for a centerpiece, for a larger centerpiece. But then you can take these little mini pumpkins and have them as place settings, or just kind of around the centerpiece. This is a way to also engage kids if you want. These were decorated by my fellow employees to help me with this class, but you can have fun with it. Kids can decorate the little mini pumpkins. You can do a little bit of moss and glue a little tillandsia on it, and that can be very sweet. I did this for a baby shower, actually, for a friend that was in the fall. And so we did this, and then we did the little mini pumpkins as takeaway with decorations on it. So definitely, like I said, you can have fun with the different ideas and play around with it. So talking about containers really quick, containers in general need to be assessed every 4 to 6 months. When I think about holiday containers, I think of them a little bit shorter lived, because we want to have a ton of impact, for each holiday. And so I kind of imagine that we just sort of swap things out a little bit quicker. everything's still living. So whether we, take it out and put it in our garden and replace it with something else, it's not like we have to completely redo it every month or so, but just keeping it fresh and keeping that harvest sort of look to it and then carry that into December, I think is really important. Another thing is to consider, let's see, just inserts. So when you're doing your containers, it's really easy to just have like a plastic insert that you can swap in and out. You can even take this to the nursery and we can plant it up for you. So this is an easy way to just, if you have a larger container that is hard to move, but you want to switch it out seasonally, just pop in an insert and then, it's easy to take out and water and whatnot. This is also good if you have a container without drainage, because again, it's really good for the plants to have water just sort of flushing through the dirt as much as possible. I did want to also mention bulb forcing, speaking of containers without drainage. So now is the time to think about forcing if you want to do narcissus or daffodils. The narcissus and daffodils take between 6 to 8 weeks from bulb to bloom to force. So if you're trying to think of some color around like Thanksgiving or something like that, now's the time to start it. And I think that there is a video of me doing this too, but just a quick overview of bulb forcing is that what I suggest doing is just a little bit of charcoal at the bottom that helps neutralize any standing water. And then you can choose your gravel or choose your sand or whatever you want to put decorative over it and just set the bulbs in. Okay. Let's see. So I have a centerpiece pot. I have a bigger sort of like container that's more upright. I have bulbs and I have pumpkins. And so I kind of wanted to see what y'all wanted me to demonstrate. And so I'll take a show of hands and I'll go from there. Okay, so if you want to see a centerpiece, if you see me put together a centerpiece, raise your little hand. On this down.
This is the little hand that's on the bottom of the menu of your screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I might have time to do more than one, but I just want to be sure that I can do what most people want to see. Okay, so we got that.
Well, we don't have any hands raised.
Okay, so nobody. Okay, so larger sort of like fall container upright. Anyone want that? No.
I see a couple hands.
Pumpkin?
I think I saw the most interest in the container raised so far.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay. A tall container. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
There was also some interest in the first one that you mentioned as well.
And the centerpiece. Okay, so everybody wants to see containers. Okay. I'm just gonna take this out for now.
Everybody can put their hands back down in case we ask again.
Okay. Hold on, I forgot one thing. Okay, so one of the most frequent questions I get with containers is, do I use gravel at the bottom of them? I don't. My view on that is that it actually creates sort of like an air pocket that once the roots hit it, it can dry out the roots. Also, I like using as much of the container with soil as possible, because then you just have more root space and the plants have more area to grow out in. So what I do is I use this, it's called keeper stopper screens. And it comes in a whole circle, but what I do is I quarter them. I quarter the circle. Because that's all you just really need to fit over the drainage. That. And what that does is it helps keep the soil in, but it also helps so slugs and earwigs and things like that don't come up from the bottom. And when I put in the soil, I put it to the level of when you set the plants in that they're about a ½ inch or so below the lip of the pot. It's just important so you have that space for water so the water doesn't go over the edge. Okay.
What was that soil that you just put in the pot?
Low potting soil.
I see. If I turn the camera upside down, will that make it the right way?
Yeah.
No, not quite. Slope potting soil. And do you add anything to that?
I do. I forgot my starter fertilizer, but typically I add starter fertilizer to it. Again, it's not as critical for this because it's a little bit more of a temporary container, but I use the starter fertilizer and things that are going to be in containers longer, and definitely I use it for everything in the ground. It's called Sure Start fertilizer. Okay, so whenever I plant a container, and Dan knows this, so we've done this several times. And when I used to do this in person, people would say like, oh my gosh, she's gonna put something like, I want a full pot to start. And so who wants to wait for a container to grow in? Especially when it's the holidays, you want a full look. So I'm gonna show you basically what that looks like. So let's see. Also, in containers, I typically don't pay a ton of attention to massaging the roots. My theory on this is that by massaging the roots, the roots sort of unfurl quicker and take up the space faster. So in my mind, it kind of makes sense. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but like I don't massage the roots a lot in containers because I feel like they'll unfurl slower and the plants will last longer. So, and I've planted probably about at least 200 containers a year for the last 17 years. So it works. Okay. So this is a purple fountain grouse, which is fun. And then I really like this. This is Angelonia. I really like this color. If you do need space, you can rip off part of the roots like that, and the plant is fine. Dan usually make
Ouch.
And again, like I said, incorporating edibles, I think is really fun. So this is a sage that we can do a succulent. So very like textural. There. I do have, oh, I forgot to mention the pansies and violas are in the stores, and these like I think this is like one of the cutest flowers ever. They're also edible, so you can do you can do a lettuce bowl and incorporate the flowers, and that's a very sweet look, and then you can harvest it and have the flowers in your salad. It sticks in. So I'm really just planting everything shoulder to shoulder.
What's that white one?
Oh, this is alyssum. And this is kind of, if you want a formula for your containers, one of the things that we do say is thriller, filler, spiller. So in this case, the thriller would be the grass, and then the filler would be the sage and the angelonia, and then this is kind of like the spiller, the lower stuff. I'm gonna put in a parsley.
And that's parsley.
Yep. Yeah. Also when you do your containers, think about, you know, are you gonna see them from all angles, or are you gonna, is there a front to it? Obviously, I did a front to this container. But yeah, how about it? So then I go around and I make sure I tuck everything in. And then kind of the designer finish that you can do is just add some moss to the top, and there's a ton of different types of moss. But this just helps sort of finish it off.
That's just kind of filling up the gaps,
Yeah,
the few gaps that you have left.
I know.
And I suppose you could use gravel or bark or just about anything for that.
You can, what I found with, definitely can use gravel. What I found with the bark is that sometimes it's not great in containers.
Mm.
So, okay. Yeah, okay. So I stayed, in a color tone with this one, in the sort of the purples, which you can do, but you don't have to. Obviously, you can do it, a lot more colorful stuff, which I could do in that centerpiece if y'all want to see me do that. Any questions, Kalia, so far? I know it's a short class, but I just wanted to give some brief ideas.
I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A, but everybody feel free to drop questions in the Q&A and we'll address them as they come up.
Do you want me to, let me just show really quick how to do the succulent pumpkin, because that's a little bit different than doing another container. So,
Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, so picking your pumpkin, what's good is to have it, if you're doing it for a centerpiece, to pick one that's more flat or squat. So that just makes it so it's not, you can see over it. And then what I do is I use E6000, which is a waterproof glue. It's critical to use a waterproof glue, and glue guns do not work because glue guns are not waterproof, and they can also burn your plants. So I find E6000 works really well. I don't make any cuts at all into the pumpkin, because once you cut into it, you have like 4 to 6 days and it's rotted out. So everything that I do is on the top. So I just take this glue and I sort of like zigzag it over the top like this. And just kind of have enough here. And then I create a moss base. So like I said before, there's a lot of different colored moss. I mean, you could do something more vibrant like this. I kind of like the Spanish moss. here. And I just sort of set that on like that. And then that gives the base to sort of start working other plants in. So the succulent, you can cut the succulents anywhere on the plant and it's not gonna hurt them. So you're making more plants with every cut. So you can go and find succulents you like and pick off pieces. Everything I glue on, so I just do a glob of glue at the bottom and then just start wedging it into the moss. That. You can even take something like this. This is an aeonium. And you can cut it. I know this looks painful, but it's, trust me.
Show us the long stem there first. Okay. Or are you gonna cut it?
Yeah, just do that. Oh. So what'll happen is this will make this will start sprouting these little things, and this will start sprouting roots. So it's not bad. The plant is fine, and you're making more plants. So again, I'll just put glue. Just started sticking in. And I'll show it the telangias too. I just try not to get the glue on the roots at all. So I just put it on the side. That. So this can be really fun. Like I said, you can, invite some friends over and put together a succulent pumpkin. Slow also has planting parties that you can come to Slow with a group of friends and do a pumpkin, which is fun too. So yeah, this is definitely a conversation piece. What's nice after the holidays is all of these things can be removed and transplanted into a container or into your garden. And then I'll also, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
We'll also use some of the clippings. Okay, so this is Nigella baby pods. And there should be enough glue in there that it'll just kind of grab it, like when I stick it in. So I'm not really worried about gluing them. Everybody's so quiet. Okay.
Jen, for these pumpkins, do we have to do any watering at all?
Yeah, you'll wanna mist it every once in a while. So just take a squirt gun or like a spray bottle. Squirt gun would be fun, but take a spray bottle and just mist it. I would say every 3 or 4 days. What was it? Oh, so yeah, so after the season, you can transplant this to your garden or your containers. I did one of the classes that I did. Somebody told me that they just took the whole pumpkin and planted it in their garden and the pumpkin compost and the plants, rooted. So you can do that too. But yeah, super fun. Not that hard. And you'll impress your friends. Right?
So it looks like a sea anemone with an octopus
Mhm.
and some coral waving around there.
Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. Do one more. Another thing too with these containers is it's hard to know when to stop. So, yeah, can always add more. Feel like. Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, let's move it out here a little bit so we can see it better.
I need one of those cake, like, turner things.
Oh, a turntable.
Turn, yeah.
Very nice.
Gorgeous. Great centerpiece.
Yeah, really easy. So yeah. I mean, should I do anything else or does anybody have any questions?
Well, we did have one question about your suggestions for planting in a container for shade in the fall garden.
I mean, so the pansies and violas can take some shade. And then also you could do some like lettuces and kales and cabbage and chard and things like that can take part sun. This is a sweet potato. This can take part sun and it's a really pretty, it'll actually trail over really nicely.
There's a purple leaf variety too that
Yeah.
looks nice with it.
Of course, we're getting in, or we will get in soon, primrose and cyclamen. And those are, cyclamen can take pretty deep shade. And so it just depends on, how shady is your shade. But definitely, there's options for you with color.
Heuchera right back there. Many, many different shades of heuchera.
Oh, yeah.
This is a really pretty plant in a container. I mean, even just like, see that? It's so nice. In the ground, it's a really pretty border plant. So, yeah. I mean, we're just getting started with the season. So there's a lot of, fun stuff coming in. I just wanted to give you some little ideas. I didn't mention Sloat does one thing. Oh, I didn't mention my wreath. That's another thing. That's a class you can look up. I did that. But just thinking too, it's like you can add ornaments to things that you do. So we have these bells now at Sloat that I added to this wreath that I did. And then we're selling these as scarves, but I thought, well, this could be a really cute table runner. And you could also use it as a scarf after the holidays. So, just think outside the box, look at what's available and how you can use it or reuse it, repurpose it, and hopefully have some fun.
All right. I think we all learned a lot today, Jen. Thank you so much.
Good. Well, I hope everybody has a good rest of your Saturday. And actually, both Dan and I will be back here next week for the second season veggie gardening. So I'll be videoing him. And he's the edible garden guru. So definitely check into that class. Hope to see you all there. Have a good rest of your day.
Me too.